Minister Grace Fu says that Singapore faces three areas of challenges in moving its strategic partnership with Vietnam forward. She identified these areas as that of political, economic and people-to-people ties. Ms. Fu is in Prime Minister Hsien Loong's delegation to Vietnam. She adds that Singapore is in a good position to tap Vietnam's industries, especially as Vietnam has links to other countries through its various free trade agreements.
There have been many high-level exchanges between Singapore and Vietnam at the leaders' level, and Minister Grace Fu says Singapore would like to keep up the momentum under the strategic partnership, an agreement that paves the way for new areas of economic cooperation, including the banking sector.
They would like to seek our help in having a more robust regulatory framework. They recognize that as our strength. We are very happy to share whatever experiences we may have. So that is, I think, a good starting point for us to help to build a stronger banking system that I think will be important to the health of the Vietnamese economy.
The minister notes that Vietnam has gone through a difficult period of time with its fiscal policies as well as its currency management.
They have recognized the problem. They want to arrest the problem. They want to rectify the problems. And I think that we see that they're taking concrete steps towards building a stronger governance structure.
Singapore is Vietnam's second largest investor. And as for trade, Singapore is Vietnam's seventh largest trading partner. Prime Minister Hsien Loong noted during his bilateral discussions with Vietnamese leaders that two-way trade has tripled over the past decade to almost $12 billion last year. Another area of cooperation that is set to grow under the Singapore-Vietnam strategic partnership is people-to-people ties, and that too with the growth of the aviation and education sectors of both countries. Minister Grace Fu says Vietnam is a very important country involved in the Singapore Cooperation Program since it started in 1992. Nearly 14,000 Vietnamese officials have received different forms of training in Singapore under the Singapore Cooperation Program. As Ramesh, Channel News Asia in Hanoi, Vietnam.
Prime Minister Hsien Loong held several bilateral meetings with Vietnamese leaders on the second day of his Hanoi visit. During discussions with the President of the Vietnamese National Assembly, both men discussed the role for parliamentarians of Singapore and Vietnam in helping to realize objectives laid out in the Vietnam-Singapore Strategic Partnership that will enhance cooperation in sectors like aviation and financial services. Vietnam's President Trong Tan Sang also held talks with Mr. Lee. PM Lee later met some Singaporeans living in Hanoi at a joint band performance by the Singapore Armed Forces and the Vietnam People's Army.